Love, did you know that the massive artificial intelligence boom currently taking over the tech world is actually causing bacterial outbreaks? I know that sounds completely crazy. The insatiable demand for raw computing power is forcing data center operators to squeeze every last drop of performance out of their graphics processing unit racks. And the consequences are honestly pretty gross. Keep these super powerful chips from melting down, facilities use liquid cooling systems filled with a specific mixture of water and special chemicals designed to inhibit bacteria growth. But here is the catch. So, if you want to run those chips even hotter for better performance, you have to change the mixture to include significantly more water because water is much better at absorbing heat. The huge downside to this trick is that it creates the perfect breeding ground for nasty bacterial contamination that literally clogs up the entire cooling flow. When that happens, managers have to completely flush the system, which forces them to shut down entire racks of servers for 5 or 6 hours at a time, potentially costing the company millions of dollars in lost revenue and downtime. Enter a company called Omen Artificial Intelligence, which just stepped up with a really brilliant solution to this massive headache. They have developed a tiny, highly advanced spectrometer that constantly monitors the health of the cooling fluid in real time, catching any signs of bacterial growth long before it turns into $1 million clog. The chief executive officer and founder, Zach LaBerge, explains that facilities no longer have to risk huge amounts of downtime just because they are flying blind on the chemical makeup of their coolants. This pitch is so strong that Omen just announced they raised a massive $31 million Series A funding round led by Nava Ventures, with big names like Charles River Ventures, Vanderbilt University, Man plus Hummel, Star Hill Holdings, and Hard Launch Capital joining in. What is even more wild is the story behind the founder. LaBerge started his very first company back in 2020 when he was literally 14 years old, raising $3 million to put sensors on construction equipment and eventually dropping out of high school with the full support of his parents, one of whom was actually a former Minister of Education for Ontario. After that first venture shut down, he launched Omen in 2024, initially focusing on smart fluid systems for heavy construction machinery so tractors would know when they needed repairs. The goal was to stop the slow, outdated process of mailing fluid samples to a lab. His system could detect wearing copper or chromium in pumps or silicon from failing seals. Since Caterpillar dealerships were early customers, and Caterpillar also supplies massive gas turbines for data center power, the pivot happened naturally. Dealerships started asking for building side sensors. He and Omen realized these massive data centers are practically drowning in fluid systems, from heating, ventilation, and air conditioning to chip cooling. Hori Rellas from Nava Ventures noted how rare it is to see such a young founder command so much respect from massive legacy corporations. Now, having raised a total of $40 million, Omen is working with a dozen major data center clients, including TensorWave, a company building an artificial intelligence cloud network exclusively on advanced micro-devices chips. TensorWave's president, Piotr Tomasik, praised Omen for providing critical visibility into infrastructure that the rest of the industry has been ignoring. While they are competing with established water monitoring firms like Pyxis, Omen is capitalizing on recent, massive cost drops in optical hardware and huge leaps forward in signal processing software to make their real-time analytics cheaper and far more effective at cutting through the noise.